Welcome to this lecture on the improvement of steam Rankine power cycle, the reheat power cycle and plant. Consider a steam power plant that produces on a heat Rankine cycle and has a net power output of 100 megawatts. Steam enters the high pressure turbine at 10 megapascal and 500 degrees Celsius, and the low pressure turbine at 1 megapascal and 500 degrees Celsius. Steam leaves the condenser as a saturated liquid at a pressure of 10 kilopascal. Show the cycle on a TS diagram and schematic diagram with respect to the saturation lines and determine the following: the quality of the steam at the turbine exit, the pump work input, turbine work output, back work ratio, net work output of the power plant, mass flow rate, total heat input, total heat rejected in the condenser, thermal efficiency, and the heat rate. The following are the given in this problem. This is a reheat Rankine cycle with a net power output of 100 megawatts. It also stated here that the steam enters the high pressure turbine at 10 megapascal and 500 degrees Celsius, and the steam enters the low pressure turbine at 1 megapascal and 500 degrees Celsius. You can see that it enters at the same temperatures, and it leaves the condenser as a saturated liquid at a pressure of 10 kilopascal. So based on this given, we have a condenser pressure of 10 kilopascal. We have a boiler pressure of 10 megapascal. The intermediary pressure is 1 megapascal. This is the pressure at the reheating. We illustrate this given on a TS and a schematic diagram. So this is how the schematic diagram looks like. So first, we are to look at process 1 to 2. So in the TS diagram, it's given in the problem that the saturated liquid leaves the condenser at point 1. That is the reason why the point 1 is here in the saturation line on the liquid region. Then after leaving the condenser at point 1, it is compressed in the pump so that it will increase its pressure to the pressure of the boiler at point 2. After compression at point 2, it is now a subcooled liquid. So process 1 to 2 here is isentropic process. Point 2 is a subcooled liquid. The pressure at point 2 is the same as the pressure of the boiler because it will not enter the boiler if the pressure would be different. So that is the reason why point 2 has the same pressure as that of the boiler. Then after leaving the pump, it will now become a feed water to the boiler. It will enter the boiler where it will be heated to 0.3. So the boiling superheats the liquid to a superheated vapor at 0.3. So you can see here process 2 to 3 is the boiling process, where you can also see here a superheated horn where it superheats the liquid to 0.3, and 0.3 now is a superheated vapor at 500 degrees Celsius. Take note that this heating process 2 to 3 is at 10 megapascal because it's also stated in the problem that the superheated vapor enters the high pressure turbine at 10 megapascal. That is why 0.3 is 10 megapascal and 500 degrees Celsius. Then it will now enter the high pressure turbine. So it's also called high pressure because it has a higher pressure, obviously. So it will enter the high pressure turbine where it will expand to 0.4. You can also see here in our TS diagram, process 3 to 4 is the isentropic expansion in the high pressure turbine. So process 3 to 4 is isentropic process. It is an expansion process in the high pressure turbine, and it will now reach 0.4. As a result of the expansion, it will reduce in its pressure and its temperature. That is why at 0.4, it will reach the pressure of the reheater, which is 1 megapascal. So now it will enter again the steam generator. If you can still recall, the steam generator is just the combination of the superheater and the boiler. So that is the steam generator. It will be reheated there so that it will gain back its temperature of 500 degrees Celsius at 0.5. That is why process 4 to 5 is a reheating process. This reheating process happens at constant pressure. So process 4 to 5 is isobaric. The pressure of 4 and 5 is the same. Now it will reach 0.5 where it will have a pressure of 1 megapascal and a temperature of 500 degrees Celsius. You can see that they are on the same horizontal level as 0.3 because they have the same temperature. So that's what happens in the reheating. As you can see, because of the reheating process, it will now expand again in the low pressure turbine. So you can see here from process 0.5, it will expand to 0.6. 0.6 now has a higher quality as compared to that of when you automatically condense it here at process 3 to 4. So the purpose of the reheating really is to increase the to improve the quality of the liquid. So 0.6 now is the outlet of the turbine. So it is also the point that is the final outlet of all the turbines. Then process 6 to 1, it will enter the condenser where it will reject heat and then the cycle will continue. So this is how we draw the TS diagram as well as the schematic diagram for the reheat Rankine, particularly the ideal reheat Rankine cycle. So we have 6 important points in the cycle. You can also observe that we have 2 turbines, the high pressure and the low pressure turbine. We have a reheater and we have the boiler. All in all, this is called the steam generator. We have 1 condenser and a pump. So let us find the enthalpies at the various points in the cycle. So after drawing the diagram, the next step is to find all the enthalpies at those important points. So I use here the software. So first, I tabulated using this table 0.1 to 6. So I will start with 0.1. I know that 0.1 from the given is saturated liquid with a pressure of 10 kilopascal. So that is the only given for 0.1. And since it's saturated liquid, I can use the NIST refrigerant properties software. And by inputting the value of 10 kilopascal using the saturated liquid, I can get the temperature, the entropy, as well as the enthalpy. Take note that the quality at 0.1 is 0% because it is a pure liquid, a saturated liquid at this point, meaning it has no vapor content. So in that way, I was able to get the enthalpy at 0.1, which is 191.82. Then process 1 to 2 here is isentropic process. So obviously, 1 and 2 have the same entropy. That is why I just copied it here. And now that I have 2 properties for 0.2, the 10 megapascal or 10,000 kilopascal pressure and the entropy, I can now also get the other properties using the software. So I was able to get the temperature, which is 319.29. You can see a slight increase that is due to the compression. and also a slight increase in the enthalpy, which is 201.88. We cannot get the quality here because it is a subcooled liquid. And then we have point 3. Point 3 is given. It's a superheated vapor with 10,000 kilopascal pressure and a temperature of 500 degrees Celsius, or in Kelvin, that is 773.15. So since I have two properties here, I will just input that value in the software so I can get the entropy as well as the enthalpy. So I will observe process 3 to 4 is an isentropic process. So point 3 and point 4 has the same entropy. And as you can see here, we have two properties that is known for point 4. That is why we can use the software also inputting these two values. I can also get the temperature and the enthalpy as well at point 4. Then at point 5, process 4 to 5, point 5 is actually given also. It has a pressure of 1 megapascal or 1000 kilopascal and a temperature of 773.15 Kelvin. So inputting that in the software, I can also get the entropy as well as the enthalpy at point 5. And then finally, process 5 to 6, that is isentropic expansion. So it has the same entropy. And then I can also plug in those values in the software and get the value of the temperature as well as the enthalpy at point 6. So as you can observe here, point 3 and point 3 has the highest, point 3 and point 5 has the highest enthalpy here in this cycle. Point 5 actually has the highest, and then the lowest is point 1. It's very important to check that out so that you will not miss the correct value of the enthalpies. Now that we already have the enthalpies at the various points in the cycle, we are now ready to get the properties, the quantity that is required in this problem. The first is the quality of the steam at the turbine exit. So when it says quality, it refers to the value of X at the turbine exit. So it means at point 6, because if you're going to go back at our TS and schematic diagram, point 6 is the outlet or the exit point of the turbine. That is why we will get the quality at point 6. To get the quality, we will use the formula X6 is equals to H6 minus HF6 divided by HG6 minus HF6. Using the steam table or the software, we can get the value of HF6 as the value of liquid enthalpy at 10 kilopascal, and that is 191.81. It is the same actually as H1. Then for Hg6, that is the value of Hg at 10 kilopascal, and that is 2583.9 kilojoules per kilogram. Now that we have those values, we just plug in the values in our formula, and we can find that the value of X6 is 0.9486. Since 0.9486 is less than 1, then this is a mixture. In percentage, the value of the quality is 94.86%. So it means that the quality of the working fluid or the steam leaving the low pressure turbine is 94.86%. It means that it has around 5% liquid and the remaining 95% or 94.86% is vapor. If you can also remember, it is a requirement that the quality of the steam leaving the turbine should be greater than 90%. So this is a good design. The second quantity that we'd like to know is the pump work input. So for the pump work input, the formula is simply H2 minus H1 because that is the difference of the enthalpy at the pump. So we just input the value from this table. We already have the value of H1 and H2 here. So we can get the value of the pump work input, and that's 10.07 kilojoules per kilogram. If you would like to convert it to megapascal or to kilowatt or to megawatt or kilowatt, you simply have to multiply this with the mass flow rate. Since we do not have the value of the mass flow rate yet, so we will just have the value as kilojoules per kilogram. Then for the turbine work output, the turbine work output here is actually a combination of two turbines, the high pressure turbine and the low pressure turbine. The high pressure turbine denoted by WT sub 1 and WT sub 2. For WT sub 1, it is simply H3 minus H4, or the difference of the enthalpy at the inlet and the outlet of the high pressure turbine. For the low pressure turbine, it is H5 minus H6, or the difference of the enthalpies of the outlet and the inlet of the low pressure turbine. If you are going to look at the table, the value of H3, H4, H5, and H6 is available. You just have to input the value. So you can compute also the turbine work output. So that is 1,609.4 kilojoules per kilogram. Now we will proceed to the back work ratio. The back work ratio is just the ratio of the pump work input to the turbine work output. And we already have that value from the previous result. So we just substitute and multiply it by 100% so we can get the back work ratio in percent. So for this problem, the back work ratio is 0.63%. It means that 0.60% of the work that is being produced by the turbine is being utilized by the pump. Then we have the net work output, which is just the difference between the output work of the turbine and the input work in the pump. So plugging in those values, we can get the net work output as 1,599.33 kilojoules per kilogram. Then we will proceed to the mass flow rate. The mass flow rate can be obtained by this relationship between the power output of the power plant and also the net work of the power plant. We know from the given that the power output of this power plant is 100 megawatts. So that is why it is also equivalent to 100,000 kilowatt. So we just substitute this value and also the value of the work net that we calculated previously to obtain the value of the mass flow rate. So the mass flow rate is 62.52 kilogram per second. So it means that we need this amount of steam to operate this power plant. And then we have the total heat that is being added, or the heat input. If you can remember, we have two heat inputs here. So when we say total heat input for the reheat Rankine, it is the combination of the primary heating, which is the boiler, and the secondary heating, which is the reheating process. So it's the heat input in the boiler plus the heat input in the reheater. It's simply the heat input in the steam generator. For the boiler, it is simply H3 minus H2. That is the difference between the enthalpies at the outlet and the inlet of this boiler. For the reheating, that is H5 minus H4, which is the difference of the enthalpies at the inlet and the outlet of the reheater. Substituting the value from the table, we can get also the value of the total heat added or input. And that is 3,868.62 kilojoules per kilogram. To continue, the total heat rejected can also be computed using H6 minus H1, which is the difference of the enthalpies at the condenser. Substituting the value from the table, we can also get the value of the total heat that is rejected. That is 2,269.29 kilojoules per kilogram. And then for the thermal efficiency, we can compute now by using the formula work net over Q in. You can also use 1 minus Q out over Q in. And you can still arrive at the same result, which is 0.4134 or 41.34%. And finally, for the heat rate, that is simply 3,412 divided by the thermal efficiency. Substituting the value of the thermal efficiency in decimal, we can get the heat rate in BTU per kilowatt hour. So it means that it will require 8,253.51 BTU to produce 1 kilowatt hour of power. So that is how you solve the problem, which is actually an ideal reheat Rankine cycle. Let us proceed to the second part of this lecture, which is the actual reheat Rankine cycle. So basically, we are given with the same set of parameters. It's just that in this problem, we have the isentropic efficiency of the turbine, which is 80%, and also of the pump is given at 90%. We will also solve the same quantities. So the only difference is that this problem now is an actual reheat Rankine cycle because we have the isentropic efficiency of the turbine and the pump. Take note that there are times that only the isentropic efficiency of the turbine or the pump is given. It means that the isentropic efficiency of the other is 100%. So we are going to solve this problem. So this is now the schematic diagram of this cycle. If you can observe, since this is an actual reheat Rankine cycle, we have two turbines. So you can see a deviation here in process 3 to 4. Instead of having an isentropic expansion here in the high pressure turbine, it becomes, it is deviated. It has deviation from that isentropic process. It is now 3 to 4A. That is the actual process here. Same also with the expansion in the low pressure turbine. Instead of having process 5 to 6, we will have process 5 to 6A. And then for the pumping process, we have process 1 to 2A instead of having isentropic process 1 to 2. So that's the only difference between the two, the ideal and the actual reheat Rankine cycle. So because of this deviation, we need to compute the value of H2A, H4A, and the value of H6A. From the previous calculation, we already obtained the value of the enthalpies of 0.1 to 6 of the ideal reheat Rankine cycle. So we will just simply use this value to solve H2A, H4A, and H6A. To calculate H6A, we will use the relationship of the isentropic turbine efficiency, which is H5 minus H6A over H5 minus H6. That is simply the actual output of this low pressure turbine divided by the ideal work output of this low pressure turbine. If you can observe, we are given with the isentropic efficiency of the turbine on the given as 0.8. And also the value of H5 and H6 is found in the table. So we just simply input those values to obtain the value of H6A. We just rearrange and solve for H6A, and then we will obtain the value as 2,664.7 kilojoules per kilogram. So this is now the value of the enthalpy at 6A that we will use. In the same way, we will also solve H4A using H3 minus H4A divided by H3 minus H4, substituting the value of the isentropic efficiency of the turbine. This refers now to the high pressure turbine, by the way. So substituting the value from the table, we can obtain also the value of the enthalpy, the actual enthalpy at point 4, and that is 2901.98 kilojoules per kilogram. And finally, for the pump, we can obtain the value of the actual enthalpy at the outlet of the pump using the relationship H1 minus H2 over H1 minus H2A. This is simply the ideal work input in the pump divided by the actual work input in the pump. From the given, the isentropic efficiency of the pump is 90%, and that is 0.9. And we just substitute the value of the H1 and H2 from the table and solve for H2A, and that is 203 kilojoules per kilogram. So now we already have the value of all the important points in this actual reheat Rankine cycle. So we can get the required quantities. First is the quality of the steam at the turbine exit using the same formula that we used previously, but now we will just use the actual value of H6. Using steam table or software, we obtain the value of HF6 and also of HG6. We just substitute those values in this equation, but this time the value of H6A is being used. Now instead of using the value of H6, we use the value H6A. So that the value of our H6 is greater than 1 because it is 1.03. Take note that if the value of the quality is greater than 1, it means that it is already a superheated vapor. That is why we cannot get the value of the quality if it is a superheated vapor. Instead of getting the quality, we will obtain the temperature at the turbine exit. So for the temperature, that is simply the value of temperature at enthalpy of H6A and a pressure of 10 kilopascal, or the pressure at 0.6. So by having the two values inputted in the software, we can get the value of T6, and that is 361.21 Kelvin or 88.06 degree Celsius. Next, we will get the pump work input. For the pump work input, we will use H2A minus H1. Plugging the value of H2A and also H1, we can get the actual pump work input, and that is 11.19 kilojoules per kilogram. For the turbine work output, that is the summation of the actual work output of the high pressure turbine and the actual work output of the low pressure turbine. Substituting the value from the table, we can obtain the actual turbine work output, and that is 1287.52 kilojoules per kilogram. For the back work ratio, we just plug in the value of the actual work input in the pump as well as the actual output work of the turbine. So we can get the back work ratio as 0.87%. For the net work output, that is simply the difference between the actual turbine work output and the actual pump work input. So the net work output is 1276.33 kilojoules per kilogram. For the mass flow rate, we will just use the same formula as before, but we will substitute the value of the actual net work output. So the mass flow rate is 78.35 kilogram per second. For the total heat input, that is the summation of the heats in the boiler and the reheater. But this time we will obtain the actual value. So substituting those values, we can get the value of the total heat input, and that is 3749.22 kilojoules per kilogram. And then we will proceed to the total heat rejected in the condenser, and it is simply H6A minus H1. Substituting those values, we can get the total heat rejected as 2,472.89 kilojoules per kilogram. Now that we already have the value of the work net as well as the Q in, we can get also the thermal efficiency. So the actual thermal efficiency is 34.04%. And then for the heat rate, that is simply 3,412 divided by the thermal efficiency. So the heat rate actual is 10,023.5 BTU per kilowatt hour. So that is how we solve for the quantities when we have actual reheat Rankine cycle. So just a point of comparison between the different cycles that we discussed so far. If you can still recall, we started with the ideal Rankine cycle. If you can remember, we computed the efficiency of that cycle as 26.02%, which is very small. But in the actual power plant, we experience irreversibilities. So in the actual Rankine cycle of the same given, we actually notice a decrease in the thermal efficiency, which is 23.4%. And now that we use the reheat Rankine cycle, you can observe that by using the effect of increased boiler pressure, there is also an increase in the thermal efficiency, especially when we have the ideal reheat Rankine, that is 41.34%. On the other hand, if we consider the irreversibilities, the heat loss and the frictional losses in the pumps and the turbines, we can observe that there is also a sudden drop in the thermal efficiency of the actual reheat Rankine, that is 34.04%. So take note that our objective is to produce more power and at the same time to produce more power at a higher efficiency. I hope that you learned something from this presentation.